They stayed for a little bit, but then they left. And a lot of most of the employees, I think, left. Which around here, people go because they like waitress or two. So they all left. Okay. Oh, really? Oh, you mean because the next door where Access Carol?
Well, Paradies itself.
Yeah.
Different spaces actually, because they don't have.
Oh, like parking
lot
spaces.
space. So
Oh.
every parking spot goes.
Well, I see the vans there, so I'm guessing
Pictures.
that's county vans or city vans that.
Yeah, either side.
Yeah.
Karen, can you hear us?
I can hear you and
Can't hear you.
Sure, if I turn up by. Did they turn it down intentionally for meetings?
can you hear me?
Yes.
All right.
See, wait.
And if you could remember that when people participate by Zoom, it's hard to hear people speaking from the chairs across from the dais. So if people could move closer to the microphone when they speak, that would be helpful.
Just sound in front
Front row.
Yeah,
Okay.
thank you.
That's not help.
Are you the only one showing up for?
From the topic, yes.
Okay.
Are we waiting for anybody else?
We're good.
Good.
So we are live. Yep, we're good.
Wow. Guess we'll get started. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Tuesday, July 2nd meeting of the Board of Zoning Appeals for the City of Westminster, Maryland. We have one case on the docket this evening. It's case number 24-04. But first, we're going to go into introductions for a few people who are here. Scott Gray, Vice Chair of the Board of Zoning Appeals.
Brendan Fraser, member of the Board of Zoning Appeals.
Mark Deepa, the Director of Community Planning and Development for the city.
Joe Atkins with the City Planning Department.
Live via satellite, we have our attorney.
Okay, Karen Ruff, Board Attorney.
And let the record show, we also have representatives from Outback and the Steakhouse here with us this evening. I guess before we do anything else, the next thing on the agenda would be the election of officers. We had a retirement, Larry Goering, to step down as chair of the Board of Zoning Appeals. So you are new chair, and we also need a new member.
I moved to elect Scott Graff as the new chair of the Board of Zoning Appeals. Do you get to second
I was
it?
thinking you asked her, I guess, yeah.
I don't object.
All in favor, aye.
We also need a vice chair to do that.
I
or-
can hold that for now. You'll heard me for now.
We're gonna need a vote on that as well.
Vote on that as well.
Yes, sir. So nominate a vote. You would nominate.
Nominate Brenda. Fraser as vice chair.
No objection.
Aye and aye.
Aye and aye. For now.
Yeah, hopefully we can find, able to quickly find a additional member.
You know anybody, let us know, or anybody watching, if you're interested. Joining the Board of Zoning Appeals, contact the planning department.
We have an application, again, case number 24-04, application received by Outback Steakhouse, the representative, Anna Paulus is who filed that. And the request is for a property located at 245 Baltimore Boulevard, Westminster, Maryland. Shopping center there is commonly known as Westminster Station, I believe. And this is a request for a variance from the total amount of signage permitted on the property as allowed in section 164-121A 5A of the zoning ordinance of the city of Westminster. The applicant is requesting, I believe, 2 additional signs totaling 119.47 square feet more than what is permitted by the zoning ordinance. So they're before us today requesting.
And Mr. Chair, you will want to swear in the witnesses as well?
Yes. You want to do staff?
Staff
First,
doesn't,
or-
staff doesn't need to swear.
Well, I'm saying you want to do your report first, or should I just go ahead?
The applicant would go first with his report. I believe, isn't that the new policy? Yes.
Correct.
So if I can get your name for the record,
Justin Yoon.
and if I could get you to swear in with me. Do you solemnly swear to affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? So,
Yes.
and with that, the floor is yours.
So main application that we are doing, we believe the panels are more of the decorative artwork, not to show it is Outback, because there's no text, there's no sign of the logo. It's we like to be considered as a mural to the wall, so it gives the. It's not really a signage for us, I mean, it's considered as a sign panel when we do apply, but there's no text. So it's, yeah, it's decorative item to the wall. I know it's such a big thing, so that's why square footage is really large, but I hope that's being considered as.
Mr. Chair, may I
Yes.
ask that you ask the applicant to go through the criteria for approval of a variance that's set forth in the city code?
Yes, we can go through that question by question.
And that would basically be 164, 161. 3.
Mr. Chair, that begins on page 4 of the staff report.
Page 4 of the staff report underneath the first picture of the restaurant would be that first section of the code pursuant to the zoning ordinance, section 164-161A3. Board of Zoning Appeals is empowered to authorize upon appeal specific cases such variances from the terms of this chapter as are necessary to avoid arbitrariness, and so that the spirit of the chapter shall be observed, substantial justice done. So with that in mind, if you could take a look at the one underneath of that and tell us how they're exceptional or perhaps extraordinary circumstances for the conditions. Basically justifying your answer at the top of page 5. Paragraph there.
Page 5.
Yes.
I will just read the paragraph.
You can just read verbatim
Okay.
the answers that have been submitted.
Approving this variance is the minimum relief that utilizes the reasonable use of the building, preserves the enjoyment of neighboring properties, and is consistent with the general intent and purpose of the City of Westminster City Code. Approval of the variance is essential and opens doors to a harmonious blend of the modern design and community spirit. This variance will not be detrimental or harmful to adjacent properties or the public welfare. As mentioned, the proposed non-branded Australian map decor panels are part of the updated standard Outback Steakhouse exterior building design package. They would allow this location to coincide with existing and future stores, enhancing the overall aesthetic appeal of our restaurants.
You would go through just point by point. Number 2 and 3 on that page as well.
So number 2, such variance is necessary for the preservation and enjoyment of the substantial property rights possessed by other properties in the same zone and in the same vicinity and
So if I can help the applicant out for 1 minute.
yeah.
In the justification statement for Outback, basically the first paragraph was used for all three sections, so it's the same.
It's like same thing on.
We ask questions or hear the staff report first?
You can ask the applicant questions.
I just wanna make sure I'm understanding the, so the Outback with the words Outback is already up there and there's no problem. It's the map of the Australia that is the one in question.
Correct.
And that is, any size would make it out of the realm, or this specific size that they're asking for makes it a variance?
So what we do is you take the face of the building and the linear footage of that building, we multiply by 3. The 3 in this case, so if it was a 100-foot frontage of the building, you get 300 total square feet of signage on the property, or even freestanding signage. They do have a panel sign on the freestanding sign. So they've already obtained approval for all the signage on the site. You see the picture, anything that says the words Outback Steakhouse and every other sign that's on the elevations provided, they've gained a sign permit approval for those signs. And Joe, I think can tell you what their allotted total square footage and how much they've used up to this date.
So as Mark said, they're allotted 225 square feet of sign. They have 197 feet approved. So that means they have a remaining of 27 square feet. And so just to break it down even more, the 2 Australian map signs, they're 74 square feet each. And so that's why they're requesting a variance of 119 square feet for those 2 signs. They have a little bit remaining, and then when you subtract it out of the 2 Australian signs, you get down to 119 square feet.
I see where the first Australian sign is supposed to go. Where is the second one going?
I thought it was outside.
Other side of the building.
One's on the left, one's on the right.
Okay,
I just copied that out for you on the application because it shows the
That's-
size and the location.
Are these backlit?
Yes. They're a little bit.
and this is part of Outback's new branding,
Yes, correct.
so. Okay. So when they submitted for signage previously, they weren't included, or they were, and we knew we would have to have they were included, and they knew they'd have to have a variance before going forward with that portion?
Yes, staff recommended that they reduce or eliminate some of the other signage on site. So thereby they could do the Australian signs to hopefully get within the allowable signage. Some of the signage, as you can see, are located on the side of the building that faces the side of the retail strip center. So it's really not visible to anybody. So we had asked, why not just remove that signage, maintain the signage in the front of the building and to the side of the ramp side. So we worked with them to come up with ways to reduce the amount of signage. Instead, they wanted to go the variance route for the signs. The other element, just really quick, just the this is why it's is a sign. I know they mentioned mural, that's not an allowed sign type in the ordinance. But a sign itself is defined as a name, identification, description, or display illustrating the form of any letter, word, model, banner, flag, device, or representation, which is affixed or represented directly or indirectly upon a building, structure, or land, and which directs attention to a product, place, activity, persons, institution, or business. Very broad. We felt that Australian sign is the brand, is the representation of Outback. Doesn't need to say Outback. We really can't look at the wording, the content of the sign. It's really what the purpose of the sign is there for. So that's why it was deemed a sign. We just don't have mural or artwork or anything like that as a defined sign type. So again, that determination was made that this would still be a sign.
I wanna make sure, is this what's facing 140 that I'm looking at?
No, that's facing.
That's facing
the retail
Sprouts.
center. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we're looking to put it there, and where is the other one looking?
Towards the ramp on the other side of the building.
So just on the sides of the building,
Yes, ma'am.
Nothing on the.
nothing on the front of it.
Yes, ma'am.
And Mark did answer one of mine, that this is not something they've come back in addition to, it was something that they just decided to leave off the original plan. Drive with.
Yeah, the original sign package showed all the signages, including the Australian maps. I know they reduced some of the signage in size, but still far exceeds what was allowed.
Questions for the applicant, staff, give their report? Sure.
Enter the whole staff report, Joe Adkins entered the whole staff report into the record. Jumping to page 4 and 5, where the requirements for the Board of Zoning Appeals is, as you mentioned, Chair, you have to meet these 3, you have to have findings on these 3 things. There's exceptional or extraordinary circumstances or conditions applying to the property in question, or the intended use of the property that does not apply generally to other properties or classes of uses in the same zone. With the applicant's justification statement, again, staff doesn't believe that the justification statement has shown that there are extraordinary circumstances or conditions associated with this property. Then number 2, the second condition is that such a variance is necessary for the preservation and enjoyment of substantial property rights possessed by other properties in the same zone or vicinity, pardon me. Again, staff does not believe the justification statement provided has shown that the variance would be necessary for the preservation and enjoyment of the property. And then the last one, number 3, the authorization of such variances will not be of substantial deterrent to adjacent properties and will not materially impair the purpose of this chapter or public interest. And again, we don't believe that the applicant has shown that. Just as a point of reference, for the entire shopping center, all the tenants or all the uses, they are within the sign allotment that's required for their building frontage. So nobody else in that shopping center has asked for a variance or received additional, square footage.
None of them are standalone. It's the
CVS.
size.
CVS.
CVS.
And the way we do for a retail center, each tenant space, we take that square footage. So that's how it's allotted. It just makes it easier. You can imagine it would be difficult to try to start adding up all the signs for the entire building. So do look at that tenant space, almost treat it as a, standalone, just that frontage.
Surprised you didn't have any fellow folks with you here. They sent you out here by yourself.
Yeah, this main company is out of state and the main person who made the package and she's also out of the state.
Okay.
And so I had to be, because I've heard that not this month, but before there was on, they could have a June this time has to be in person.
Can I, actually, I don't know, Justin, what is your role with Outback?
So our company is installed.
Oh, okay, the sign install
Yes.
company?
So we did install the rest of the
Okay.
signs already, and then we're just waiting for this piece to see if it gets approved or not.
Okay,
So star neon
Yes.
signs.
Mr. Chair, just further conclusions of considerations. Again, pursuant to the zoning ordinance 164, 161A3, the Board of Zoning Appeals is empowered to authorize upon appeal in specific cases such variances from the terms of this chapter as necessary, and to avoid arbitrariness and to enact the spirit of the zoning ordinance. The zoning administration recommends the Board of Zoning Appeals to carefully review the variance 2404 request and make findings of fact pursuant to that section 164 1A2 sufficient to either approve with conditions, or disapprove the applicant's variance. The zoning administration finds that based on the findings and conclusions and recommendations, conditions in the staff report, the request for the variance and additional signage does not meet the requirements set forth in 164 161A2 of the zoning ordinance. So again, if you're going to make a recommendation for approval, you should address those three conditions on why you feel that it meets those conditions in your motion. If you're gonna.
Do you have smaller models of this particular?
Because even though it goes smaller, that still means it'll be over the square footage. So if we put something smaller, I mean, I'm not from the sign, but I put as of the sign company, I think that's kind of even fit there. Because
As I mentioned before, Mr. Chair, that the applicant has about 27 square feet remaining in.
each one is 74.
Yes, ma'am.
So they had to be significant.
Is there the Outback sign on all the front, the side and the side, is it all three?
all three,
Has an Outback sign?
yes, I believe it has been planned that way because it's a freestanding building.
Right.
And only one thing is, so when I heard, so to be considered as a sign, we were more thinking about is if it's a brand logo, was name or text, but I don't know Australian map, anyone knows it as a sign of the Outback though. They're trying to put that in their branding package, but I don't think that's a logo. It's not like a siren image of the Starbucks, like everyone knows. I don't think anyone sees that and will still see it as an Outback though, but they just want to put that as their some more artwork.
And there's no description of exterior artwork.
No, there's no such thing as artwork or mural as a sign type or an allowance. Past determinations have stated that a mural is a sign. Again, it's something placed in the building to attract people to that location. And as the applicant said, this is the branding of that. Even, I think people do see that sign and know it's Outback. That is the brand of Outback. Again, staff recommended reducing some of the signage maybe in that area between the buildings because it's really not seen from the public way. Once you're in the shopping center, doesn't really hold much purpose, so we recommended that. Again, to get down, we also recommended maybe just providing one. Again, that one on the side is far back. Nobody's gonna see that except maybe in the drive-through. Why wouldn't you put one in the front of the building versus even the one on the side of 140? It's supposed to be the brand, that's gonna be difficult to see from 140, but you already have the Outback sign. So we did provide some level of, is there something else you do to reduce this level of request?
Right.
That's, we understand, we want businesses to do well, but at the same time, we want to ensure that you're still meeting the requirements of the ordinance.
Do you have any response to that as far as the reconfiguring that they suggested of why they didn't do that or?
I didn't speak with them about why didn't they change, but as of the size, if it becomes like, let's say, only the half of the size, I think it'll look really weird on that wall.
No, I agree. It sounds like they suggested some with the current Outback signage being altered to make way for at least one of the maps.
Yeah,
And it made sense to us, the Outback Steakhouse sign on the front of the building, because that's seen on 140, the one on the side of the ramp. Those are the off-site signage that can be recognized. The one on the other side, the Outback Steakhouse, we recommended either reducing that significantly in size, but not allowing that. Because again, you don't, once you're in the shopping center, you already know you're going to Outback. It defeated, we didn't understand the purpose of that one. So again, we tried to work with them to get it down, while understanding they wanted the Australian logo there as well.
Chris.
I don't have any further questions.
I know it's not something each individual I spoke with them, but the main purpose of those maps are not as like a signage. I know it's kind of a little bit, they already have 3 sides up there. The one side doesn't really serve the purpose either, because they're all the way to the end of the shopping center. So the main sign that's facing the street will be seen by the traffic, and another side that's adjacent building, so that can be seen as from the coming way. The other side, I think they're just trying to make it as their look. It doesn't really matter, they get seen by the traffic or the coming way inside the shopping center, but it's more of the look they're choosing, so that's why they want to have both maps on the walls so that everything looks as a unison way. In a science purpose, it doesn't fit, but as of the building look, that's what they're going for. If we get at least one level approval, I mean, that's what I'll tell them how it's happening. I don't know if we're gonna get some decision made, but
Are the maps inside as decor? They have signage inside of the,
I didn't do any install inside, so I do not know yet.
Yeah, I was in there recently, I don't believe they have any of these Australian maps inside.
One could go inside.
Field trip.
okay, I guess we're going for dinner.
Might I suggest, if there's concern of the level of variance by the Board of Zoning Appeals, if there's a recommendation, and I'll ask Karen this as well, could it possibly be postponed to allow the applicants to talk to Outback, see if they're willing to do anything different, or if you're comfortable with the request, then, so I just, again, he's, unfortunately, he really can't speak for Outback, and,
Did we let them know that they could come on by Zoom or?
we had asked them to, the rules of procedure require that people come to the meeting.
Wasn't there,
Unless
there was a,
Unless there's a significant reason as to why, again, with this, we try to have people here because the interaction
sure,
is so
no,
much easier.
oh, I love it, but being on
For
stage,
communication.
Yeah.
But that, maybe that's, again, maybe that's another reason we might wanna postpone this, and if you're okay with Zoom, maybe that's worthwhile coming back to have this discussion, that you feel more comfortable with that.
this we close testimony and then we have a conversation. Is it?
The correct counsel.
So are you looking for me?
We just wanna make sure we close testimony and then Scott and I can have our conversation. Is that the next step?
So I guess it depends on whether you want to continue the hearing or whether the applicant is going to request that you continue the hearing. You would want to make a ruling on that issue before you close the testimony. Because if you were going to continue it, as Mr. Depot suggested might be an option, you would not want to close the testimony portion of the hearing until at the continuation of the meeting. Does that Makes sense.
With that in mind, I'm inclined to turn this down as presented. But I'm going to agree with the suggestion of staff that if you have additional discussion with Outback to see if there are other alternatives, and I hate to do that with a brand new store, but if there could be other alterations to the signs to come closer to an overall square footage, I think that.
I tend to agree specifically because it sounds like there was conversations about trying to make it work in with the scope. I mean, in the scheme of things, I'm sure it'll make it look good, but as far as following what's out there for the city guidelines, I tend to agree.
So would the applicant consent to the continuance?
Yes.
He said yes.
Okay, so then you can continue it to a date certain. So would that be the August meeting or?
August 6th.
So August 6th.
That meeting can have other.
I think we should also allow, if someone is here in person, possibly allow other members from Outback and sign comments to appear.
Via Zoom?
Yeah.
Okay,
That way we can have people from the Outback, same time that we can sign company too.
I mean, can we, again, we don't normally do this, but my suggestion is having them come with why the original suggestions didn't work for their branding. I think that's a big piece of it, why it wouldn't have worked that way. Have other thoughts on that?
So then we need a motion from you to continue it to the August 6th meeting.
I'll make a motion to continue the hearing on the August 6th date of the Board of Zoning Appeals.
At 6 o'clock at the same location.
At 6 o'clock at the same location, acknowledging some of the members maybe by Zoom.
Motion's been made, I'll second that motion. All those in favor?
Aye.
thank you, thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Thank
Thank
you.
you for coming.
You get to hit the, you get. Larry would be disappointed in me. Thank you so much, Justin. Appreciate your help. Absolutely.
We'll get back to you.
I spoke with them today. They just get
The recording.
Yeah, we still have
Oh,
two more items, if there's any other business.
we adjourned. We were done.
Oh, you're adjourned already. There was no other business, so
The gavel.
let's turn this off, let's.
I
Anything
didn't hear anybody adjourn. Did you
We
really?
just made a motion
We
on
didn't even hit the gavel.
continuing that case, so.
Have a safe trip, Karen.
Thank you very much for letting me attend virtually. And I will see you August 6th.
Yep.
Yes, well, we want to hear some stories from the hike.
All right, take care.
Okay, thanks, Karen.
Bye.
Bye.